Hello all of my crafty friends. It's Sue again. I'm back and I am excited to be back here with all of you. So welcome back to anyone who is returning subscriber. I've had so much love given to me over the last couple of weeks and so many new subscribers, and I do appreciate it, and I want to thank you all for that. If you're new to this channel and it's the first time watching me, I hope you enjoy the content. Please wait until you've watched the entire video. And if you feel like subscribing, that would be awesome because it helps my channel. And if you want to leave me a like because you've enjoyed the content as well, that lets me know that you do appreciate it and that you'd like to see more. I am a small channel. I'm here just to kind of give you my experience on working with different types of craft projects. I am out of practice, so I apologize. But yeah, let's call it there and let's just get into it and have a fun time crafting and exploring today. So first, before we truly get into anything as far as craft stuff is concerned, I want to show you guys some things that I've just purchased for myself or have purchased in the last couple of months. The first thing that I want to share with you, oh, I thought I had the mold out here. What did I do with it? Bear with me. I was all prepared and now I guess I'm not. Oh, here it is. Sorry. Told you it's been a while. So the first one I want to share with you is this crescent moon mold. I received this, well, I didn't receive it. Nobody bought it for me. I got it myself with my own money. None of this is sponsored. If it is ever sponsored, I will be sure to let you guys know. But I did purchase this with my own money. I got this off of Amazon. And hopefully you can see the detail in there. It's all flowers and different things. And if I had to guess, I would say, let's just, instead of guessing, take a measurement here in inches. This is not quite 1/2 inch tall, so maybe 1, 2, 3/8 of an inch, something like that. Very close to 1/2 inch, but not quite there. It is, for anybody that's interested, at the largest and widest point, it's about 2.5 inches wide. And from one end to the other, it's about 8.5 inches long. So it's a good size mold. And I have used it a couple of times, so it has seen its use, but I do want to get more use out of it. And I'm planning a project that I'll be sharing with you guys shortly that I'm going to use this in as well. But when you make something out of it, you can get something similar to this. I made this, oh, probably a couple months ago now. And it should sit like this so the flowers are upright. But it's been a couple of months, and I basically just took this one, I want to say, I'm trying to remember now, guys. I'm sorry, I should have written this down. But basically what I did is I used mica powder, and I think on this one I colored already clear UV resin with mica powder, put it into the different spots, cured it under my lamp, and then poured a silver gray tone mica into some clear resin and just let it set. And that's what it turned out like. This is very vibrant, and that's because I mixed it up with UV resin. You can get a much subtler effect by just painting the mica powders right inside the flowers. And I'll show you how to do that, like I said, when I make this next project. So that will be coming soon. In addition to purchases that I've made is this big guy. And I just got him the other day from Amazon as well. This is a crescent moon. And this guy here is a sleeping dragon laying on the inside of the crescent moon. I would flip it over and show you, but it's really hard to see it because of the supports on the back side of it. But this is what we're going to be doing today. So you'll get a better view of what this looks like once I start working on it. So stay tuned to see this in action. I also got a few additional molds, which we'll be working on together here in the coming days. This one is one that's been online all over the place. People have been using it for a very long time. I have been very hesitant to use it just because I'm not a huge, I do like holographic. I don't know. There was just something about it. I think it was too trendy. I'm not a trendy person. If I find that something is kind of holding up to the test of time, then I'll eventually break down and be part of it, which is what happened here. I saw it wasn't terribly expensive. I will post the link to all these molds down in the description box. But this one I liked because it's coasters. They're all different patterns. And I just am curious to see how it turns out. I have no idea how these molds work. I wish I could explain it to you guys. Maybe some of you out there watching know already how these work. But the inlay that's already in here makes your coaster or whatever you're going to use this for be holographic like that, especially if you put a specific solid colored background on it. Black usually works the best, but I would imagine that you could use a dark purple or a dark blue. Interested to see what a white would look like on this. So more about that when we start to play with this at a future time in a future video. I've recently been into a lot of celestial and different types of witchcraft type things. So I just picked up this really nice mold. It's fairly deep as well, if you can see on the side there, but it's just a bunch of different symbols. And this was something that I was just intrigued with and wanted to use for a specific project. And if I do that in the future and I want to share it with you, then you'll see what I mean by this. But otherwise, I still like the molds just like they are, and I would happily turn it into a pendant or something to hang in your car, whatever. And then I got a couple of molds for making earrings or jewelry, because you could do just one of these and make a pendant, or you could do the matching pair and make some earrings. And these are upside down, so I'll turn this around. So these are again on that same vein. You have some that are like gemstones, a lot of crescent moons, which I am just, if you've watched any of my past videos, you know that I'm a crescent moon lover. There's some witches' cauldrons, some cats, crescent moons with gemstones in them, the phases of the moons, just all sorts of things. And I just love this aesthetic. I admire it. I think it's beautiful. I think these molds look like they're exceptionally well done. They're very flexible. They're not terribly thick. And I've got cat hair all over these. As much as I try to keep it out, it just ends up going everywhere. But as much as I like these because they are thinner, so they're going to be easier to wear if you are going to wear them for jewelry, because they're not going to be super heavy. But if you wanted to make a pendant out of it, or just something to hang with something else, if you're making a larger craft, what have you, I think these molds will be fantastic. They're very intricate detail. I'm very excited to use them. I can't wait to see how these are going to turn out. So more to come on that in a future video as well. So enough blabbing. Let's get into what we all want to work on today, which is my sleeping dragon. I saw this. I loved it. I had to have it. I was surprised by the size of it, I will tell you. And I apologize. My setup has changed a little bit. So if I'm shaking, or if the camera's shaking, I mean, not me. If this is shaking like this, I can only apologize. It's attached. My camera is attached to my table, so my table's not the sturdiest. If my table wiggles, my camera's going to wiggle as well. So Apologies ahead of time for that. What I plan to do with this guy is, because he's rather big, he's much bigger than what the pictures on the internet on Amazon made it look like. And I'm very happy about that. I didn't want it to be this little itty bitty thing. I wanted it to be a substantial wall piece that you could hang up and really admire. And because it's larger, it gives you so much more opportunity to do different things with it. You can embed all sorts of things in here. You can do things around the outside of it once you're done. So many things. So my mind is kind of swirling with different ideas. But to start off with, we're just going to play around with this mold and see what we can make out of it. So I do have the intention, well, first of all, let me back up for a second. This is going to take a couple of pours. So it's going to be a couple of filming opportunities for me before it's going to be completely done. So this video is probably not going to go up today as I'm filming this. This is actually January 1st, New Year's Day. So Happy New Year. And I forgot to say it earlier in the video. Happy holidays to everybody out there, no matter what you celebrate. I do have some of my Rolio powders that I have shared with you guys before. This one is burgundy. I also have another Rolio in the color copper. And then I have two Let's Resin chameleon shades. This one here is, I've shared these with you guys before, but the colors are so hard to read on them. I think this one says it's lime, and this one, oh, my eyes are getting so old. Maybe you guys can pick that up. I'm not sure. If I can figure out what it is, I'll put a blurb up here on screen as I'm editing this. I think it's blue to purple, but I'm not going to swear to it. My eyes are so bad I don't have my other glasses on. So anyway, what we're going to do, we're going to use these chameleon powders to make the scales of the dragon where the scales are very evident. I have the copper color that I showed you earlier that I'm going to do around his eye with, hopefully. I'm not sure, because the eye is kind of raised here, so I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work, but I think that there's a little bit of a well in here. Yeah, there is. I can feel it. That I can put the copper color in here because I want to call out the eyes separately. And then the burgundy will be for all of the spines, feathers, I don't know what you want to call them, but these grooves that are part of the wings, and it will be the grooves that are up in the head here. I'll probably use the copper for the horn on his head as well as the tail part up here. So let's get into it. I have a couple of different tools that I want to use. I have just a plain old cheapy craft paintbrush. I also have brought out a couple of Q-tips. I'm not sure what's going to work the best on this mold when it comes to these mica powders. The mica powders themselves will work fine with a brush like this. They'll work fine with the cotton tips. They'll also work fine with makeup sponges, those little makeup sponges that come with some of the little cheaper, shouldn't say cheaper, but some of the eyeshadow palettes that you can get like at a drugstore. It'll work fine with those as well. And you can buy those makeup brushes by themselves online, pretty much at any craft store, wherever you want to go to do that. The ones that I am concerned about are these color changing powders, primarily because when I bought them, and I might have told you guys about this before, there's the color inside the cap right there. When I bought them, I thought they were more of a powder, and they were flakes instead. And it can make them very hard to get into some of these areas. So I'm not going to be painting these scales individually. I'm probably going to run the blue-purple from here, probably halfway down, or maybe just these upper scales, and then his legs will be green. And then over here I might do the purple, and then the green up here. So we'll see how that works out. I will most likely be playing this in fast forward, so I'm not going to talk through this section. If there's something I want to tell you guys, I'll stop and explain it. But for right now, I'm just going to be dipping my brush into my powder and just painting it on. So I finished the purpley blue color where I want to put it. And just a couple of things I want to mention. It's very staticky because they are flakes, like I mentioned before. They will go flying everywhere. That's one of the reasons that I don't like them. The second reason is because they can be difficult to apply. They stick to the silicone no problem whatsoever, but you don't get that nice buffed out effect as you would if it was a powder. I still have to go in and fill in some of these details, but what I wanted to do before I do that and bore you with the rest of doing this is that I will clean the rest of this stuff up. So anything that laid anywhere on the dragon's body or any place I didn't want it, I've simply got a cotton tip here. You can take that, put some rubbing alcohol on it. And then if you come in with a paper towel afterwards and wipe it up, it'll come right off. And you can see there it is on the Q-tip. So don't be concerned if you're coming in here and it's just going flying everywhere. It's going to, especially if you have these flakes like I was telling you about. In addition to that, I did try to apply it as you saw during the video with the Q-tip. I wasn't a fan, so I switched back to my brush. Not a fan of the brush either, but it did its job. You have to be generous with this stuff. You can't just put a little bit down and expect it to go exactly where you want it to. The effect is gorgeous once you're done with it, don't get me wrong. It's just, it can be a trial to get everything everywhere you want it, and then there's a lot of cleanup afterwards. So if you have a different chrome type of powder that you like to work with, or a different color changing thing that you like to work with, by all means, you do not need to use this. This is just simply what I have. I want that color changing shimmery look, so I went for the ones that I have. Once I'm out of these and I'm done with them, then I'll purchase something that I like a little bit better. But these are fine for the job. It's just, it can be a little bit taxing to get it everywhere you want it to go. So I'm going to go away, stop the recording here, and finish up the details with this blue and then with the green, because I'm going to be doing the green part, like I mentioned, all around the legs and up here on the tail. And I'm going to be using that green one, the lime that I showed you a little while ago. It's exactly the same process, so you're not going to be missing out on anything. I'm going to apply the rest of the blue, do the green, clean it all up, and then we'll come back and we'll do the mica powder on the rest of the dragon's head and spines of the wings and on the tail. So I'll be back in just a second. Okay, so we're back, and you can see that I've finished doing all the details, and I think that the shimmer from that chrome color change is going to be so perfect for this dragon. And I took my time, I put a lot of it on, made sure that it gave me all the details I wanted. As a matter of fact, I can see a little tiny spot that I'm not super happy with, so I'm just going to put a little tiny more on there and hopefully not get it everywhere that I just cleaned up. Okay. I don't want to do any more than that because I don't want to mess anything up. So anyway, I've cleaned up the back of this as much as I'm able to. I'm not terribly worried if there's a few little speckles here and there. It'll just add to the character of the piece. It is my first time doing it, so you kind of learn as you go. As we all know, this channel is about experimentation and seeing what we can accomplish. So the next thing I'm going to do is pour in. Oh my God, I was just thinking about the resin part of it. Next thing we're going to do is put in the mica powders that we want to utilize here. Before I go on to that step, however, I just want to make mention of a couple of things that I noticed. One thing that was incredibly easier to do with this, as I was putting the flakes in, was instead of taking it on the brush and then just jabbing it in and start trying to mess it around, I learned quickly, because of the static electricity, and of course it sticks to the end of the brush, to just lay it down and then paint it in, and it went much better. The application was much smoother. There was a lot less problems with it, and I didn't have as much of the flakes flying everywhere, which I was happy about. So with that having been said, oh, look at that piece just wanting to lay in there. With that having been said, I'm going to start with the copper. Okay, so I've done quite a bit more, and it's actually a couple of days since I started this because I ran out of battery and my phone stopped recording in the middle of what I was doing. So what I've done is I've gone through and finished up coloring this in. I did use a couple of additional colors. I have one here called Lilac and another one here called Pearl White. They're both still from the Rolio company. And I also used an antique gold, but it wasn't from Rolio, and I'm not sure where I got the color from, but I used it just a little bit here in the wings, and I decided not to take the red all the way down. I actually took it only down and kind of did a gradient into gold. And then between the spines, I guess is what I've been calling them, because I don't know really what they are, is a mixture of a little bit of this red, the burgundy, a little bit of the lavender, and a little bit of the pearl white color. So I kind of just blended them all together, and I did the same thing up here for his head. So I'm going to go off camera here for a minute, mix up my resin. I think I'm going to mix up probably, I think I'm going to do 4 ounces to start with because I don't want to make too much of the dark color, and I'm not going to use this for anything else. It's just going to be solely for the dragon. So I'm going to mix up about 4 ounces. What I would recommend is before you do start pouring a piece of any nature or any size that you check wherever you purchased it from. Sometimes online they'll tell you how much liquid it takes to fill it up, and you can transfer that to ounces or milliliters or whatever you want. Sometimes Amazon will do that with some of their pieces. The seller will do that. Other stores that sell resin molds might have it printed on the package. So you can check that. And again, if you don't know what it is and you don't have any way to find out, or it's not listed on the package or in the description of the website you're buying it from, then what you can do is before you know that you want to use it, fill it up with water, see how much water it takes to fill it up. And whatever it takes to fill it up is primarily what you're going to use to do it. Just make sure it's really dry. Make sure that you've got all the moisture out of it before you decide to pour the resin in, because resin and water doesn't mix. Okay, so I am back. I've got my resin all mixed up. There's a lot of air bubbles in it because I was impatient and I didn't want to mix. But I'll take care of those air bubbles as I'm pouring and as I'm mixing up the colors. So I have a pot of black pigment here. I don't remember what it is. I know I got it off of Amazon, and it's meant for like resin and other things. So I am literally putting in the tiniest amount. And in my epoxy that I'm using here is the Amazing Clear Cast epoxy resin that I get quite often from Michael's. And I only put that little bit of black in there because this is a paste versus an alcohol ink, and I didn't want to overdo it, so I only put just a little bit in to begin with, because I don't want it to be solely black. But if you can see on my stick there, I hope that's coming through on camera, it's looks dark in the cup. It is not dark on my popsicle stick. There's very little pigment on there at all, which is good because now I'm going to put some Let's Resin Emerald Green alcohol ink in there, just to give it a little bit of depth. I put maybe 5 drops in there, if that. Get my pigment out of the way here for the moment. I'll clean off my gloves because I got black everywhere, and I don't need black on everything else. So I'm just going to mix that up a little bit. The emerald green is a very light emerald green, which is okay. But you can see I still don't really have much pigment. If you look at the cup looks dark. But the best way to check is to look on your stick or what you're mixing with, and if it's not changing any color there, then you know that you need more. If you can see through it, if it's, well, it really depends on what you want it to look like. Let me make that clear. If it's translucent then you're going for, then where I'm at right now, stick with it. And I'm trying, as usual, I'm filming at night, guys, so I'm trying to make sure that I'm not blocking the light, is what I was trying to say. So let me just pour this in. Yeah, and that's a good deep color to start with. So you can see it in the mold there. And I'm just pouring it in slowly because, again, I don't want it in the moon. The moon part is what I am really trying to avoid. So I'm going to pour this like this for now. It may be the fact that I won't be able to get any in the head, because trying to get in the head part, I'm concerned about the one spike that's running down into the moon, and I'll show you what I mean in just a second, but I just want to get this part of the tail poured. Again, being really, really careful. I don't want it running over, and it looks like it may just do that, so I'm going to have to probably do a little fixing here if I can figure out something I want to use to get it out with. This is how resin pouring works sometimes. It doesn't always go the way you want it to, because people make mistakes, and I am one of those people. So I'm just scooping some of this out because I don't want it going over. Hopefully you guys can see this. I'm probably off shot all this time. I'm so sorry. I'm scooping some of it out of here because, as you can see, hopefully maybe right here, it's starting to run over, and I don't want it to do that. So I'm just scooping a little bit of it out and making sure that the edge here isn't being broken too much, and there's still a little bit too much in there. And if I just can't do it, then I may just do this and get most of it out of there. And I can come back in after everything has kind of started to settle a little bit and clean that up so I don't have that resin in here, because I do not want the black resin in my moon at all. Excuse me, I was going to sneeze and now my nose is all stuffed up. So what I was trying to get at earlier is that down here in the head, if you could notice right up here, there's a spike, and this spike right here, horn, whatever you want to call it, part of his head goes right into the moon. And if I try to pour any black into his head here, it's just going to run right out there and go right into the moon. We don't want that to happen. So all I'm going to do right now is pour up to the level that I know I can with the black. I am not going to try to get any in the excuse me, far end of the tail here, because I know that's just going to run out. I was hoping that this part of the tail was going to be able to hold a little bit more than it actually did, but that did not work out. So I'm just going to clean that up. Like I said, I will go in with some alcohol here in a second and clean that up even more. But I overestimated a lot, and I have way too much black resin. So I'm going to have to find something else to use that for. In the meantime, I'm going to let everything settle here, and I'm going to come back in and clean up the extra resin that I have overflowing down here. Doesn't matter if it's perfect. I just don't want that black pigment to show up. I want this part to be as clean as I can get it. So I think I'm pretty good. I have just the tiniest bit of spillage right here, but if it doesn't get worse than that, then I should be okay. There's no more leaking out of the tail, which is good. So I've done what I can for now. And as I've mentioned before, I don't care if the entire dragon is not in the darker color. I was really more concerned about it being behind some of the chromy colors, some of these color shift, just to be sure they popped as much as I could get them to pop. But I think that's where we're going to leave it. So I'm going to let this cure, and then we will probably come back and pour 2 more layers. So I may pour the first layer of clear without you guys on the camera, just because it's just pouring clear resin. I might go ahead and pour the 2 layers of that, and then we'll come back for the demolding, because I don't need this to be a super long video. So we'll take it out of here, and I'm going to take the pointy parts off first. And just to reiterate, I've never used this mold before. I just got it. It's the first time I'm pouring it. I have a little overspill over here, so I'll have to clean that up. And if you hear people saying clean things up like that, I clean this up, and I don't know if you can see it. Hopefully you can. There's a little bit of clear resin here that's gone over the edge. You take a deburring tool and you just peel that back. If you do it when the resin is still soft enough, like if I had done this morning, I might have been able to just take a knife. I probably still could, but the deburring tool would be easier. And you just clean that up. Once it's set, you obviously can't do anything to get rid of it, other than to use a sharp tool to get it off. So I'm just peeling back the edges, doing a little bit of anticipation here, because I'm excited to see what it actually looks like. Excited to see how the colors turned out. All right, I think I've got most everything loosened up on the outside, so I'm just going to peel this away. And there's our mold, completely empty. And ta-da! Here's our dragon. Oh, he looks super cool. I'm going to pull you guys back a little bit so you can see it better. But there it is. Honestly, he turned out almost as good as I had anticipated. But yeah, the details are really nice in the mold. You can see his horn. The scales are super awesome. And I think he turned out really, really cool. So I'm very happy with this. I do recommend the mold. Like I said, I got it on Amazon. The link to it will be down in the description. But it gets a 2 thumbs up for me. It's a really, really super good mold. The details are very nice. It's super easy to pour. Didn't have any problems with any of it. So overall, completely satisfied. So I do have a little bit of bonus content for you all. I did use some of my extra resin and poured a couple of those holographic coasters that I was talking to you about that I had purchased as well. And we're going to take them out and see what they look like, because I'm really, really, really excited to see what they look like. So I did one in the white, and I did one in that kind of grayish black. The black one's not completely filled up. I only did part of it because that's all the resin I had, but that's okay. This was more or less an experiment, and I can use them in my house. So, oh, look at that. So much fun. I do like that a lot. Again, it's magic how they do this. I don't know how they do it, but that one is super fun. I enjoy that a lot. And here's the blackish gray one. Whoops. That's how that one looks. Look at that shift when you move it, how it just kind of like flows from one to the other. That's so fun, so cool. I enjoy that a lot. So here's the difference between the two. So what do you guys think? I do love this one more just because it's a pattern. This one gives me, I like it a lot. I like how it flows, but I think I like the overall effect of this one better. And the molds, that was the first one, the white one that's kind of like that snowflakey pattern. And then this is the kind of crazy all over the place pattern was this one. The other two I have, this one kind of moves. So you can see it kind of travel around there. And this one, what does that one do? It's kind of a broken glass effect similar to this one here. And then you have the one in the middle that does the similar as this one up here. So yeah, a lot of fun. I'm really excited about that. I think those turned out really super fun. Love them. And my dragon, absolutely 100% fun. He is heavy. Resin is typically heavy, but he is heavier than most pieces that I've done because he's so big. He's a good size dragon, and I'm so happy and excited to be hanging him up. And the fun thing about it is there's enough room down here that if you wanted to do a cricket cutout, you could put some sort of saying on here. I don't know what you would want to put on there, but if there was something that you wanted to do, or if you wanted to do like the lunar phases along here, or something to do with dragon, maybe dragon eggs, I don't know. But so many fun things that you could do with this, and so many different ways you can color it. Yeah, all right. Well, I hope you enjoyed. I really enjoyed doing this. I'm super excited to get back into my video making, so if there's something else that you guys want to see, let me know. But we'll be doing one of the other new molds that I just recently received in the next video, and you can expect that video up. I'm going to try to get on more of a regular schedule, so it will be sometime. This will probably go up. Today is the 9th of January. I would say the 10th. Maybe tonight it'll go up, and the next one will go up about 7 days from now. So expect it about the same time next week. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, share it with other people that you think enjoy resin making or videos of this kind, and give me a subscribe. Doesn't cost anything. You can always unsubscribe if you really dislike something that I'm doing in the future, but I appreciate it as always. Take care, have a wonderful, safe, happy, healthy day, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye.